We got all of them.
First, we had that one. That's good. So I didn't, yeah, we said it. In the sun.
Order Lincoln City Council meeting Monday, January 27th. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Councilmember Scott. Councilmember Milner.
Present.
Councilmember Underwood. Here. Mayor Exley.
Here.
Councilmember Blackwell. Councilmember Taylor. Here. Councilmember Riley.
We stand for the invocation by Councilman Levi Scott tonight. And you'll remain standing for the pledge.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we come together with thanksgiving in our heart. We come thanking you for guiding and keeping us, Lord. And we come thanking you for blessing this city. We ask that you touch this council, its staff, its members, and Lord, the decision that we make here is not for this generation today, but for all generation to come. And Lord, we ask for safe passage and we leave this place. We ask for a special blessing for our citizens, Lord. And then, Lord, we just thank you for being so merciful. These are the blessing we ask in Jesus' holy name. Amen.
Amen.
Indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Going forward. All right, we'll entertain a motion for approval of tonight's agenda. Second. I got a motion by Ms. Taylor, I got a second by Mr. Scott. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Okay, guys, again, we'll read this public comment. Shall pertain to agenda items only. Should you wish to appear before council, you can find the forms at Rankin City Hall. And then I'll turn the public hearing over to our city attorney.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor. This will be the public hearing on an ordinance repealing the code of the city of Rankin, Georgia, Chapter 10, that's animals, Chapter 34, that's environment, Chapter 42, that's floods, and Chapter 90 related to growth management to be replaced with a unified development ordinance, and specifically repealing the official zoning map to be replaced with a new official zoning map, including overlay districts, to provide for notice, to provide for severability, to provide for an effective date for repeal ordinances and parts of ordinances in conflict herewith and for other purposes. And consistent with the UDO, I'll give a bit of an explanation for the procedures for this. Given that this is a matter for hearing put forth by council, council's agent or any council member is permitted to explain the request for the zoning decision and or explain what's in it, after which time any individuals of the public who so desire are permitted to speak in favor or in opposition of the proposed zoning decision. You would just raise your hand, and after being recognized, you would stand and give your name, address, and any comments appropriate to that proposed zoning decision. At this time, the city's council's agent or representative would be welcome to make comments.
Everybody.
Good.
So as you know, we've been going through the Unified Development Ordinance and associated overlay district maps and zoning maps since, really since January. I think they started coming to council in April. The first one was the landscaping chapter because y'all had made that a priority. And so we've continued through, and at this point, every single chapter has been through, and the maps have been through planning and zoning board and council and have been adopted. We did make a few small changes as we went through after the adoption to add some definitions, make a change related to the tree bank. And that was, all of that was in the memo that I provided with this, this public hearing document. So in order to keep it as clean as possible, what we opted to do was just to repeal everything. So that means everything that's been adopted to date, including what's in the the old code, what y'all have gone through and adopted related to UDO, and just adopt this entire new UDO, the official zoning map, which does include the overlay districts as well. So I'm happy to answer any questions. I know we've been through this in quite a bit of detail as we took it forward chapter by chapter, and hopefully that was very helpful to y'all to feel like you have a really good understanding of this new code.
It's not as much reading either. You know.
Yes, when you're doing it in little chunks, yes.
I've got one question. I have no here. No, but Terry, it's something simple. I'll get with you.
Okay.
Page 6, Terry, you said on the Fort Howard overlay district, the following uses have been added. Building construction, especially trade contractors' offices and with storage, building material supply dealers, commercial industrial machinery and equipment repair, maintenance. I don't think that fits our overlay district desires, but
Well, so those are you saying that those are specific, maybe I worded it poorly, so those aren't allowed in the Fort Howard overlay district.
the following uses have been added is what it says.
So those uses have been added to the code in general, those uses haven't been added to the Fort Howard overlay district. And I apologize if that was unclear.
Those on the 21 overlay district with the
So they're allowed anywhere that the zoning district that allows those uses would be, which is a variety of places in Lincoln. It could be, some of those would be in that Highway 21 corridor overlay district.
But it would be zoned appropriately.
But it would have to be zoned to allow those uses. So for example, so for that, so for building construction and specialty trade contractor's office with storage, that's allowed as a special use in the B2 zoning district, which is our old GC, and the L1, which is light industrial.
Old GC.
I'm sorry?
That's old GC.
That's what, right, B2, I know I just say that because I know most of y'all were used to referring to things as GCs. When we changed the district names to be more in conformance with how the county names their names or their zoning districts, we changed our GC, general commercial, to B2, but it's the same district. And then the other one you asked about was building material and supplies dealers. So same in the B2 district, it's a special use, and in the light industrial, it's permitted.
Okay, so it's special.
Special use, which means that there are conditions that have to be met. Now, it's not a conditional use, but there are conditions that have to be met before it can be allowed in a district.
Or it's light industrial. It fits in light industrial.
Right, and light industrial, it's allowed by right.
This says Q3, but that's the old zone.
That would be DC there, right?
Let's see real quick. So, Habitat is, I believe it's commercial. So yes, it's B2, so the old GC.
Okay.
Mr. Blackwell?
Oh, yes, reading through this, I forget what paragraph it was, but the HOAs, and a thought come to me, do we have a list of all the communities in the Rankin city limits that has a HOA, who's in charge of it, who the president is, and all of that? I know Lost Plantation does a really good job, and I know who the president is, but the rest of them I don't. I know my homeowners association has one, but I know who that president is, but she lives in Richmond Hill,
Gotcha.
and you can't get in touch with her.
No, I know it's hard when.
Yeah, but
they're
I'm
not
saying
local.
like Hickory Knob, I think they may have one, I'm not positive.
They don't?
They don't.
They don't, and I know,
The new one?
Because it,
Maybe the new, the old part. The new one though.
and so I didn't know if there was a possibility to get a list, and it might take a while, because you will have to find out who the
So last
Yeah, I
July.
don't know. I was wondering if there wasn't.
Started that list. I know that he identified like 4 of the HOAs. I don't know if that list has been completed. 7 on that list.
Jody made it.
I know we can work towards
That way
putting
when we
something like
have
that
a-
together.
Issue. Address it to the HOA.
Mr. Harry. Chief Reed said he has a list of 7.
Because that would fall under your safety and fire protection, not Chief Reed. I'm good.
One more thing, if we pass this tonight, when does it come affect us?
Well, so tonight is only public hearing and first reading. So second reading is scheduled for February 24th because the February 10th meeting, I believe, is, it's probably going to be canceled. So 10 days after February 24th is when an ordinance becomes effective.
I would just add briefly that most, if not all, the specific subsections in the UDO have already been passed. And so if there's questions about those already being in effect, I believe are already.
They are in effect. Thank you for clarifying.
Yes, ma'am.
Basically.
Any other questions for Ms. Lewis? The members of the public would have the opportunity to speak in support or otherwise if they'd like. Hearing none, I will close the public hearing. Back to you, Mr. Mayor.
All right, we'll go into, new business number 1, be the first reading on an ordinance repealing the code of the city of Rankin, Georgia at chapter 10, chapter 34, chapter 42, chapter 90, to be replaced with a unified development ordinance, and specifically repealing the official zoning map, to be replaced with a new official zoning map, including overlay district, to provide for notice, to provide for severability, to provide for effective date, to repeal all ordinances and part of ordinances in conflict herewith, and for other purposes. Does anybody have any questions? Mr. Scott?
Yes.
No.
You got any questions?
No, sir.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay. Motion's in order. Motion to approve first reading.
Second.
I got a motion by Mr. Scott. I got a second by Mr. Blackwell. All in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion passes. At this time, Adrian Brewer has requested to appear before council. He'll come on up and,
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of the council. How are y'all?
Good.
Good. I know this is not a question that many people have asked before, but I'm seeking to try and open up an establishment for 100% sale of beer, liquor, and wine.
Basically a package shop.
No, I'm looking for a bar establishment.
2-4?
A bar.
Yeah, a bar, a 100% bar, no food included. I am retiring in about 3 years and I intend to stay here. I like it here. There's a lot of money to be had because this was a dry county before and no one has a 100% establishment. I myself do not drink alcohol. And I think that would be a pretty unique endeavor to take on as an individual who doesn't drink alcohol, owning an establishment and such. And there's a lot of tax money involved in this, so I figured I'd offer that to you all. And honestly, I would like to put the bar here in Rankin city limits. And I'm looking for questions if you guys got something for me.
we'll start.
Mr. Scott.
I don't know. Any but, for the, period, for its, straight evidence, no food, this point, and no food, how did the order read on that? Think we've got a catch there.
Well, I know right now in the code it's not permitted, but I'm thinking that there could be something at the state level. No? Okay. It's something we would have to look into some more. I mean, the code change would be much the same as you did for the UDO, but we would want to make sure that there weren't any state requirements of.
Mr. Scott asked my question.
I mean, I'm trying to figure out what the question is. You want us to amend the city ordinance? What's the procedures to amend an ordinance like this, Terry and Robbie? I mean, just a straight,
That's what I was just asking, attorney about. I'm trying to think, is there any, I don't know of any just straight bars.
I know in Rankin, anytime alcohol's listed, there's 6 months of painting and signs in yards and.
We'd be happy to look into it and outline the standards and go from there.
That's in June though.
Right.
When we do that, but that's just alcohol, that's sales, that's
Just sales.
Do you know of any just straight bars that sell no food anywhere in Chatham County, Effingham County?
Not in Effingham County. Chatham County does, yeah, there's a couple bars down the, on the strip and boardwalk there. Two that I can think of right off the top of my head.
Yeah, that's my concern, is maybe we need to look at state, because, there's something about, I think that's all on the didn't want there's percentage of alcohol that you can sell based on the percentage of food. Thank you.
That's what I'm thinking too, Mr. Scott, that there's a percentage, and it's gotta be 50% food sales.
I used to frequent that.
I could be wrong.
Okay, so what kind of bar would it be? A sports bar?
It's going to be a place for adults to go, get away from kids, enjoy themselves, watch the game.
With no food.
I mean, live music isn't far-fetched, but I'm not trying to get, even karaoke, I like karaoke.
Yeah.
But I don't want Buffalo Wild Wings or anything crazy like that. That's not what I'm doing.
Laid back.
Dancing bar, but someone like to dance.
So I think you can, Bubba, you can look at that.
So why don't we figure out the
And
standards?
then we'll give you a call back. We've got your information and then kind of let him know what that looks like.
It'd be great. What I would encourage you to do is look at the zoning perhaps and see where you might be thinking of locating it, just to think about it. But we'll look at what the art of possible is, and then you can come back before planning and zoning or council.
That is far better than a no.
Yeah, but well,
And we may change some of our ordinances to allow that.
Right.
But again, we gotta start from the state level and work our way down.
and I can say I really appreciate you coming in here.
Yeah.
You know,
That's the good.
this early to get
So
started.
you don't have a place in mind, you haven't looked at a building.
I didn't want to invest any time or money finding a place to do this necessarily until I got an answer that says, hey, no, you can't do this. Springfield straight up said, no, get out of here. Okay,
So we got time to look into it.
yeah.
Yes, sir, yeah.
Well, thank you for your service and thank you for
Yes.
working with here.
For your support. Thank you. Have a blessed day, y'all.
All right. New business number 3, PINCO requested pay request number 2 in the amount of $213,682 for the Macomber Park paving project.
Mr. Mayor, Council, Doug Morgan, EMC Engineering. This is the second and next to last pay request for all the paving, grading, drainage, and concrete work out at Macomber. It's all complete. After we approve this one, we'll have a final walkthrough inspection with the contractor, go through, make a punch list, before we release all his retains. But everything out there seems to be looking good, and all the rain we've been having, it's working and draining.
It's raining. That was my main concern. Yes.
So y'all done the punch list?
No, we have not done it yet.
Mr. Scott?
When's the rest of the fencing gonna be done?
I'm waiting to hear back from ACC. They're out there, they've got all the poles up for all the perimeter security fencing along the road going to the back, the main entrance, and working in between all the fields. The fencing itself is not up. But I just needed to get an update from the ACC, but I can do that and email that to you.
It's looking good.
But the only things we have really left is to fix the dugout fencing on the Project B-side, and the fencing around, all the block work for the new dugouts is there. We just have to do the fencing around the top, so I don't know if the weather delayed it or what, but they should be getting pretty close to wrapping it up too.
So we on track to have a opening day rededication?
We did it for the new park when we opened.
Mr.
the
Black?
New park.
No questions. Doug,
It looks,
yeah.
It really
I'm
does.
real-
It really,
thank you.
We've seen a lot of bad ones. There you go.
it
That's,
really is.
that's what matters. Motion's in order.
Second.
I got a motion by Ms. Underwood. I got a second by Mr. Blackwell. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion passes. New business number 4, request approval to award the bid for the Lost Plantation Sidewalk Extension Project to Platinum Paving and Concrete.
Question, please. Is this Lost Plantation?
Lost Plain,
Willowbrook.
It's on St. Andrews?
St. Andrews, Willowpeg Way, and Marion.
Okay, I need to recuse myself.
Mhm. Yep.
I live in Willowpeg, that's why.
But no, as you see in your packet, there's a recommendation letter in there.
Hey, you can go out that way.
Oh, I do, I go in. Oh, sorry.
You get in trouble.
You listen?
There's 10 in the hall.
But no, as you see in your packet, we held the bid opening at City Hall. We had 3 bidders, submit bids. You see their bids right there. The low bid was Platinum Paving and Concrete at $319,576.42. There's also a bid abstract in there that compares all 3 bidders' unit prices and gives you a breakdown of that if you want to see that. And then there's a copy of Platinum's bid.
Doug, I have a question for you real quick about that. Now, I don't know that you and I ever looked at it or talked about it, but we talked about it in the meeting. There's about 25 yards, St. Andrews, from that stop sign that gets you, because we're gonna have a couple crosswalks, right? Well, right across from where you make the turn to go down to the course.
Mhm.
Right across from that, there's a section that's about 25 yards right there that needs to attach to the other sidewalk.
Where the ditch is on the right,
Yeah,
that's in our plan.
that's already
Oh,
there.
okay.
So it's.
If you're heading the T-box at 9, that sidewalk makes a funny little angle and there's a element right there. We're piping that whole ditch, all those pine trees that are lining that ditch, we're taking them out.
Okay.
And we're piping it and extending and tying into there. We're tying in at the end of Marion, heading toward Walton, your place. We're tying into that sidewalk. And right there, when you come in and St. Andrews makes the first little curve, that road right there, there's a connection where we're connecting to that side. Connecting in 3 places.
I just wanted to make sure that one was connected, because that's the one, I mean, it cuts off like right in the middle of those people's yard, you know?
It does. And that's kind of where the phases stop.
That's where they stop.
Ms. Underwood even commented about kids getting off the bus right there and falling in the ditch.
Fall right in.
No, we're gonna take out all them trees, pipe that ditch, put a swale on top of it and stuff.
Yeah. Okay, we'll start down here with Mr. Scott. What?
I did see a plat which side of the road the sidewalk was on.
I
As
can
you're
email
driving
you the
in,
plans, when you're coming into the golf course on
Yeah.
St. Andrews, heading up to the stop sign, the sidewalk will be on the right side. When you make a turn on Willowpeg Way heading to the clubhouse, it'll stay on the right
right
side
side,
and we'll cross over, Marion,
right,
right there, Amos Ann's old house.
right.
And then Marion all the way to the next paved road down there, it'll be on the left side.
Okay. Okay, I
Um,
understand. I'm done. That's-
Which ones do you recommend? I know they have a grading system. You have a grading system for these different companies.
All these companies are reputable companies. Phillips is the company that is doing your cart paths at the golf course right now. And Platinum's a very reputable paving company. A lot of people that we Give Work Two, they sub to Platinum, they sub to different companies, but Platinum is a very reputable paving, asphalt and concrete.
What is it? You recommend still platinum?
Because they were the little bit.
Yes.
Anybody else have anything they want to add? All right, motion's in order.
Mhm.
Go ahead.
All right, I got a motion by Ms. Underwood, I got a second by Mr. Scott. All in favor, say aye. Opposed?
Abstain.
Wasn't here at the beginning.
All right.
Can I vote?
Motion passes. We had 5 yeas, we had two abstain. Darlene.
Yeah, Bubba.
All right, new business number 5, we're gonna vote on a second reading on an ordinance by mayor and council for the city of Rankin to rezone the general commercial. A certain property known as parcel R20-10024 to amend the official zoning map of the city of Rankin, Georgia accordingly, to provide for notice, to provide for severability, to provide for an effective date, to repeal all ordinances and parts of ordinance in conflict herewith and for other purposes. Ms. Lewis?
Rezoning had a public hearing and first reading at your last meeting. I have nothing new to add. As a result of that, the applicant is here if you have any further questions for him.
Sir, you want to come on up? State your name.
James Dees, D-E-E-S.
All right, we'll start with Mr. Scott. And Scott, do you have anything on this? I have. Do you have anything? Ms. Underwood?
Yeah, Mr. Dees, and I've been told, only to consider that it's GC, but it's hard to do because what you're describing you want is like industrial. So you are aware that what you want to build there does not fit the GC standard. I just don't want you in 3 months to be upset because you can't build what you're telling us you want to build.
You don't tell me that again, so if I get it rezoned, then I'm not gonna be able to build what?
What you're describing you want to build is like industrial, not GC. That's what we're seeing. That's why the confusion. So we just want clarification. I don't want you upset when you try and come back further. You know what I'm saying? Because
Well, what category can I build what I want to build?
answer that too.
Well, I'm having a hard time answering it because, I'm looking at it as a rezoning, like without having a very specific use. It's difficult to say. Now, if he's in one of those two that you mentioned during the public hearing for the, UDO, those two, the building specialty trade contract, I don't remember exact, those two, both of those are allowed with condition in the B2 zoning district.
But it doesn't really fit our overlay district deal. That's part of the overlay district.
Well, so there are, if you remember, in the overlay district, there are certain uses such as title pawn shop, check cashing that aren't permitted if they have frontage on 21. Those two uses aren't part of those prohibited uses in the overlay district. Now, keep in mind too, with the overlay district, it's not just about uses, it's also about how it looks. So it still does have to meet the aesthetics of what the overlay district requires. And that's not just what the buildings look like, but it's also what the site looks like, where parking can be, how big a buffer has to be, what kind of landscaping has to be there, so.
I think, Gary, where we get so far ahead sometimes, we don't, we have someone come in and say, hey, we're looking to change this to general commercial. And we agree that that property is correct for general commercial. But then when someone brings a plan here and says, this is what we're gonna do, we're gonna store equipment outside, or we're gonna warehouse this or do that, then, then the zoning, our thoughts of the zoning is not matching what what he's trying to do. So, do I agree? And I think council agrees that it probably should be. But what Mr. Dees was describing by putting things and storing things outside, equipment or whatever, is light industrial.
Now, it does allow, and I don't want to get too
No, I
far,
don't want to dig in it. I just
Far
want to
into it,
see what your thoughts are.
because I felt like y'all thought I was trying to sell you on it last time, and I'm not. I'm impartial. Like, I will look at the criteria. It's what I look at for any rezoning. I look at the criteria to give you the best idea of whether they meet or don't meet those criteria. I think about what kind of traffic could be generated by potential uses at the site, things like that. No, I lost my train of thought. But so what I was gonna say is, like, one of the things that you do have to look at a rezoning though is exactly what you're saying. Are all the uses that are allowed in that district appropriate for this parcel of land that would be rezoned? And if you think no, then you shouldn't approve it. And if you think yes, then you should approve it. I mean, that's the best way I can put it. And I do agree, like, it is like one of the things we've looked at in rewrites, updating the UDO, is to not require a site plan with a rezoning, because in the previous code, it did require one. So somebody had to tell you what they were doing. And that really does a disservice to everybody, because as soon as, like, if I'm bringing a property forward and I rezone it, I can tell you whatever I'm gonna do, but I can sell it tomorrow and they can do anything else.
Well, that's what if he came in and said, I want to turn this to general commercial, let me get back to you. If he wanted to turn it general commercial and he wanted to sell it, it would have been boom, across the board. You wouldn't have heard anything. There was no conversation.
Well, and what I want to say is that's what Brandy was trying to say at our last meeting. We feel like we're selling him a bill of goods if we're letting him walk out the door thinking he's going to do this, because if he comes back with that under conditional use for our approval, we're not going to approve it in that overlay district probably. And that's not fair to him.
So I did, because of that, I did have him come in after the last meeting to go through the overlay district requirements in detail, provided him a copy of it for exactly that reason, so that he would understand that what would be required of him regardless of the use, so that he would understand what would be required of him by those overlay district requirements. Because they're pretty extensive compared to what we have now.
So.
Go, Ben.
No, I think everything I was thinking about, y'all have already asked.
Okay, I have some questions. There is right now, riding past that property, there are cement, concrete, what are they called? Yeah. Do those belong to you?
They were on the property and covered up with trees when I bought them. So I moved them out of the way, and I don't know if, the owner said that they were designed for that property, but then again, that was a long time ago.
Yes,
So I don't know if they're usable or not until I get the utility work done, until I get the plans.
Okay, well, with
Site
all
plan.
due respect, I'm trying to beautify this city. And we Google mapped your property right now. We don't want that here. Now, if you store all your stuff inside, I don't have a problem with it. But having stuff, that's a corridor coming into our city. That says a statement of what's happening in our city. So we're trying to clean up everything. So that's just me giving you my honest opinion. So,
Well, I don't think it's anything different than it's sitting on the side of the road when you're doing road construction and construction of a 500 house subdivision. You're gonna have pipe on the side of the road. As soon as I can find out what I can do and which way I can go, if I can't use it, I get rid of it. I'll crush it up.
She's talking about, with what your thoughts are on what you were building. She's saying that she wouldn't want to have that sort of stuff outside and equipment being sold.
Just out there because it was on the property. all that pipe was on the property and covered up with trees and vines and, I didn't know it was there. And the reason I moved it out is to when I can get my utility plans and stuff done and my drainage, most of that stuff I might can use, but if I can't, then I'll crush it up, get rid of it. But no, we won't have stuff, no, it won't be
We
anything
have
like
a code
that.
enforcement person now, and I'm pushing to get the city cleaned up. So, I mean, we'll be knocking on people's doors all the time. So that's just the way
No,
it is.
because my building would be a small office, a little small warehouse, and then a shed in the back to put, stuff up under with the fence around it. It's gonna have to stay pretty because I wanna be able to lease out the other areas, build and lease the other area out. So I'm not gonna put anything in there that's gonna be trashy looking.
Ms. Riley?
Okay, so I'm usually the bad guy and I'm okay with that.
Well, that's all right.
So what I'm going to say is, you told us last time you would have boom trucks that you have to store somewhere.
A boom truck, but you know, that's not any bigger than a bucket truck. It's not a crane. Now, a crane would be a different
I
story.
understand. What I also understand is this property was zoned as office commercial based off of its location. That's typically what I would think it should stay as. Looking at what you want to do, it's more than office front. It's specialty trade contractors' offices with storage. That would require a special use provision even under this new zoning. And I, for one, think you're going down the wrong path with the wrong, I think you bought the wrong property to do what you want to do. In my personal opinion, I will not be able to say yes when you come forward with the next plan. And I'm just telling you before you put all this money into this property, I, for one, yep, I'm just one person, you're absolutely right. I just,
One out of
you know,
seven. And she should, everything is, so vote on it or what?
I'm just saying it will come back before us for vote, and I will not be able to say yes to even the special use.
Yes, I would like to say the last time I did vote yes because we were voting on the rezoning of the property.
What
It's
we
not,
voting.
and I agree with that. Now, with what's been said by Ms. Brandy, Ms. Moa, and Ms. Michelle, I need you to make sure that you're very clear, and Ms. Terry, that what he's willing to build is going to suit it, because, again, we're still voting on rezoning. But I don't want to, like the ladies, I don't want to give the perception that, yeah, we're gonna zone this, already seeing the plans, knowing that it could.
If you're looking for some sort of certainty from me, I can't do that right now because I don't have site development plans from him. So, just like every site development plan we get, it will be reviewed by staff as well as our outside engineer to make sure that it meets all of the requirements of the code. We won't bring it.
And the overlay.
And
When is this overlay district voted on? And approved?
December?
Oh, it was this past December?
Yes. So,
Okay.
Mr. Dees, again, I don't want to give you the misconception
Mhm.
that we're selling you a bill of goods. We're here to vote on converting this over to a specific class of ordinance.
Mhm.
If we do that, I don't want to see come back and now you can't build and now you're upset at council because you did something based on the request.
What, is that the category that we need?
You're gonna need a special use permit to
well, so.
do,
That's,
you have to start.
right, that's where the catch is, especially use permit. That's where the catch is, because there's no guarantee there. It's a
You'll
possibility.
get that.
If you meet certain standards in that legal training, that you may be able to do it. It's always.
Meet certain standards in the overlay,
Mhm.
the overlay, like the stuff that you gave me. And basically, a lot of that is cosmetics, how it looks, majority of it.
Yes.
Now, one thing is we will have a lot less parking because we're not gonna be having retail business. So, you know, I might have to get a little variance on that. I just don't, cause I think the parking was ridiculous. What last time with my,
Because that
architect-
property is zoned as office commercial, it's not
Yeah.
zoned for what you're trying to do, but bought the wrong property.
And Mr. Dees, can I say this? Dees, I just want you to know that we're all good people up here, but we spent a year working on the overlay district because we're limited with lots available for commercial development in our city. And our goal was to redesign an urban development, and we worked. And what you want to build isn't fitting that, and we just think it's fair to you, be honest up front. We don't want to be mean, but I mean, we're just trying to be honest. We're just trying to be honest.
When I bought it, it was under what?
Office
Office commercial.
And that can be doctor's offices,
Mhm.
that can be a construction office.
With no laydown yard, with nothing, no equipment.
No.
That's
Storage is-
That's just cash right there.
No, it's the laydown.
It's the laydown, having your equipment outside and it looking industrial, and being industrial. I don't know what you're presenting. And I don't know if you're presenting commercial up front and sticking this in your business in the rear. That would have to be something that you'd have to show on a site plan. What they're telling you, just to break it down, if they rezone this property, you're not guaranteed to get what you want based off your site plan. It may have to be a conditional use or special use like Mr. Scott said.
And guarantee.
We can't get, but that's nothing's guaranteed with that. They can still say, no, we don't want it.
As mean as I sound, at the end of the day, I want you to understand that if this is what it is, just approving this and changing the zoning period, I feel is wasting your time. But you can absolutely pursue that path because there are multiple people up here. It's not just me. I'm just telling you my honest opinion. If you're with me and this plan, you're wasting your time. That doesn't mean you are with everybody on council. I'm only one person.
And it's a funny thing to say. When you bought it in for the zone, you bought it in the plan. And if we deny that, then you can come back and say, well, I told y'all what I was building then. But we don't give you that perception is, okay, we'll rezone it, and this is where it's gonna be, what you got here, you will, because, but that special condition is.
I just need to understand this one.
But again, all we're doing is we're keeping the property, not the plans.
That's right.
At this point.
But
But-
foreseeing the
but-
future, to do him service, I have to be honest.
Explain and said, you listening to me, we are just looking at.
Well, and like Robbie said, when you start looking at putting stuff out, as a contractor, you're looking at a laydown yard, which is industrial, and that's not going to fit.
A certain high wood fence around it, that you could do a pole barn with a lay down yard. Well, I read that and that stuff.
Well, so, and I did want to get up and say this because I do not want anybody thinking that it has to come back to council for a special use permit, because it does not. What a special use means in the UDO now is that it has certain conditions that have to be met. If they meet those, then it can be approved at the staff level. That's different than a conditional use permit, which requires a public hearing and a first and second reading. So I just want to make sure that we're perfectly clear about what we're talking about here. So the condition in this case, for the two uses that y'all have been talking about is that any outdoor storage, including the storage of fleet vehicles, shall only be permitted on the side or rear of the site and must be screened with a 7-foot tall opaque fence. So I don't want you to.
Read it one more time for me.
Sure.
I'm sorry.
Any outdoor storage, including the storage of fleet vehicles, shall only be permitted on the side or rear of the site and must be screened with a 7-foot tall opaque fence.
And that is What do you mean?
That is under the, where we've got the, anything that has an SU in our use table means it has a specific condition that has to be met. And so that's where I'm reading it in that same chapter 3. I just don't want anybody voting here thinking that it's going to come before you for a conditional use permit or anything like that, because it won't. What would come, if the rezoning is approved, what would come before you next would be a site plan.
Then I'm inclined to not approve a zoning change at this time. That's just.
All right, does anybody else have anything? Motion in order. Mr. All in favor, say aye.
We didn't get a motion.
Oh, nobody made a motion.
Yeah, what do you say?
I have a motion to deny the rezoning to GC.
You have a motion to deny, second.
I got a motion by Mr. Milner, I got a second by Ms. Riley to deny the change of the, from general commercial, from general office to general commercial. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? To deny. Thank y'all. Thank you.
Randy.
All right, new business number 6, request to approval for surplus of the 2007 Kenworth's rescue truck. Mr. Reed.
Mayor and council, this truck we don't use anymore. It can be resold and repurposed for private individuals or the public when it goes up for auction. Sealed bid only. I will set a minimum on the truck. And we just don't use it anymore.
What's the current value?
Current value is $35,000.
Isn't it operable, Chief Reed?
Ma'am,
Is
I'm
it,
sorry.
is it operable? I
Yes,
mean,
it is.
In working condition?
Oh, yes. 3208 Caterpillar, 37,000 miles. I have several people that want to bid on it.
Mr. Scott, you got anything? No. No. Nothing? All right, motion's in order.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
I got a motion by Mr. Riley, I got a second by Mr. Blackwell. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Just before I go to the next, one, I just want to make sure that that was okay to take a motion to deny on that.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we were fine with denying it.
Procedurally, that's
He made
fine.
a motion,
You made a motion, you could have done the inverse, but.
That's what I'm saying, that's what I want to make sure of, because we hadn't ran on that yet, we haven't, okay.
We need to kind of look at requirements in the height, because I think the same thing, because last time was the same thing, with being the films there.
7-foot fence isn't gonna cover.
No, it's not, and that's we need,
Respectfully, council,
Yes, we got it, yeah, we got it.
next agenda item.
All right, new business number 7, request approval to pay Lane Christensen Company for emergency repairs to well number 3 for $52,257.
Yes, sir. I asked that you approve this. This is an emergency repair. They're working 300 feet down and there was a hole in the casing, so they're fixing that. And
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
I'm sorry.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
You got anything?
No.
No. You got it?
Mr. Byrd, they gonna pull all of that pipeline out and replace it with new?
no, sir, no, they're not doing that.
So how they?
They're- That's a good, that's why it cost $52,000. I don't know exactly how they know. It's Lane Atlantic. They do all the wells. So we were getting,
Mr. Morgan might have an idea, maybe.
got a whole,
yeah,
they're probably gonna do you a whole new well and flow and cap the existing whole thing.
Where they gonna slip one? They gonna slip one.
Slip, okay, that's what they slip, I saw all that piping in there, so that's what they're doing. Okay, I got you.
Does anybody have anything else? All right, we got a motion by Ms. Riley,
Second.
got a second by Ms. Taylor. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion passes. All right. New business number 8, we're gonna request approval to amend council general policies.
Yes, sir. This is something that adopted, the new finance officer requested. And I don't think there's but one change in it, and it has to do with, help me here, Delphi. Oh, number 15.
This is,
I think there's some-
All budgeted expenses, 500 to 20,000 must be approved by city manager.
So that was
So there's a banking reason she
item
did it.
15, you
Yes, and we're in red. And I think it was something, that changes to something to make it easier, her county and stuff. She's gonna be coming before y'all with changes. Like I mentioned, we'll do a workshop in the next couple of weeks with the finance department and her go over some of the stuff she's working on.
Anybody have any questions, comments? Sure.
Mr. Byrd, I just want, if this gets approved, would you, provide all the department heads this policy sheet?
Oh,
So
yes,
they know,
yes, sir.
it's just a reminder of what they have to do that's set out in these policies.
We have Tuesday morning meetings. We can go over. And Hadassah, she's changing a bunch of stuff, creating new
Right.
stuff, so yeah, everybody's.
So I know, yeah, those policies need to be updated, yeah.
Anybody else?
Second.
I got a motion by Mr. Scott. I got a second by Mr. Blackwell. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Number 9, new business. Got a request approval to cancel the February 10th, 2025 regular scheduled council meeting. I think we'll be on
Explanation is in order. That's the one.
That's the.
that. That's
At the end of the-
the.
I just wanted it on record.
Yes, thank you.
So just for the public, council will be up in Atlanta area for the weekend, and we will not be available.
and that Monday.
Correct.
Make a motion to approve. Second.
Got a motion by Ms. Taylor. I got a second by Ms. Riley. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Then new business number 10, we have a request approval to contract with Modern Midways for the 2025 Lincoln Spring Fair.
The date on that, Mr. Mayor, is, I think it falls on Effingham County spring break, so that's a good thing.
That's, it does fall on.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah,
on the
that's-
policy.
Perfect.
Usually make good money.
Talking about the money.
That'd probably be another one when we get to comments. Spring Fair?
It's just similar to the past documents,
Yes,
and it's Bobo reviewed it.
I have not, but I can if Counselor.
I think we just, wasn't there just something mutual?
Yes, it is. Right, it is.
That I will happily review if you would like to consider a motion to approve it subject to council's review.
That sounds like a wonderful suggestion.
Let's make that.
I will make that.
Second. We got a motion by Ms. Underwood. We got a second by Mr. Milner with our city attorney reviewing. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Before we move into the need for executive session or to get into there, we don't have on here that announcements or comments from council and mayor on, but we do not need to not have that on our agenda.
council comment, the mayor.
But yes, we, on most of our agendas, there's a place there where before we go into executive session, we have a place where we stop and we have our comments. and-
Oh, okay.
Mayor and council. And we need to make sure that, that's on there moving forward.
Is it final comments of the meeting?
It's anything that you guys want to talk about and ask about, at the end of the meeting before we move into
Thank you.
a need for executive session. And
And starting next month, EOM will be here for.
for that
Most-
portion.
yes.
Yeah. So, I wanted to, I just want to start this off with, you know, I've heard some talk here and there, especially, being home a few days about the golf course. And, you start getting things kind of swirling around again about people saying, oh, they're gonna probably sell the golf course because we were upside down again, out the general fund, picking, you know, giving money to the golf course that we came up short. Robbie, we have talked about it for a while, about putting a value on the water that we are getting rid of.
We did in the budget this year.
Okay, so we went with that number that we talked about. So we just need to make sure that everybody understands that now, there will be a value to that water, so that now we'll be able to keep this on task and on budget, because we don't have to make that up at the end out of our fund.
Whitney calculated that into there to show what the value that they're getting rid of for us.
Right.
So that was in the budget this year.
And Hadassah understands that.
Well, I
as
haven't
well.
spoken with Hadassah about it, but I
Yeah.
will.
And then that way she'll understand. And then, like I said, I think, you know, we had a really good workshop in Atlanta, and we talked about, how much our purple piping can, reduce, our, holding amount on our water and, our wastewater. And so I think, you know, that's another thing that we really got to talk about, is how quick can we get purple piping done out on that golf course and start getting that stuff moved around. And council needs to really be thinking about that, because now it's more of a value than just, and it always has been. But it's more of a value to us to do that than, you know, than not. So not something to sit on.
So, Mr. Mayor, I agree with what you're saying. Is there at any point we will find out costing to run the pipe, you know, what it may cost?
Yes.
Mr. Morgan may have an
I
answer.
think we had talked about, started that, possibly.
Done.
Come on up, yeah.
No, over the years, and we talked about this one time, when y'all talked about doing a pilot hole on.
17.
We did several of those, but the thing you have to understand, and we'll have to go back and look at, all of this pipe out here that's being used for irrigation, it's not a pressurized pipe. It turns on when the pump kicks on by the pond, and all the solenoid valves are open and it goes and comes out there. That shuts off. That pipe has no pressure. So if you tied everybody in along, could we run a secondary pipe beside the main irrigation? Yes, we can. We just have to figure out where y'all want to run it, how, and we can figure out, we may have to put in a pump to pump it and pressurize it, because you don't want your big main booster by the road, by the pond, by the 17 T-box to
Right.
turn on one street, that kind of thing. So it's doable. We just got to figure out how to do it and where y'all want.
Where to start, because it's gonna be a major project. We'd have to do streets.
Yes. Yeah, it would-
Or holes.
Yeah, we were just gonna look at a pilot hole
Yeah.
and then see how it worked, and then perfect that hole, and then start moving, you know.
We have to put a whole force main in, pretty much. A pressurized water line.
There would have to be, and granted, the line that's out there is pretty big, the irrigating fairway.
Yeah.
We'd have a smaller line between that and on the back of the houses, or some may even go up across the road and be on. We're already putting on the back.
3 to 4 inch line.
Yeah, he would touch that. But, okay. So I just want to make sure that we got that out there, because that's just some of the things that, you know, you get from residents of the course is, you know, well, golf course didn't make any money this year, and, you know, and so they're wondering why the city has a golf course. You know, the city has a way to get rid of, to reuse water, not a golf course. And if that golf course does somewhat well, then we come out great.
And we gotta remember now that the reason we have that is because the incentive from the state,
Right.
BD, to disperse all of that
Yes,
water, wastewater.
that's right.
So it's not something we jumped up and just went and bought.
That's right.
Golf club.
That's right.
And it was a very smart venture for you guys to buy it, because people don't realize that we would have to pay to get rid of it. What?
Wow, something, because you can't really.
And it was,
Man, people just don't realize.
He told the, city attorney, people also realize by doing that, that makes that golf course more valuable if you were to sell it, because whoever buys it, work a deal with the city just to get rid of it, they never have to irrigate.
that's right.
They never have to pay.
And the way I look at it, you know, why would the city sell it? Because we're getting the use out of it, and we can gain the funds off of it as we invest in it. You know, it just becomes a huge, you know, positive for us. And so I just want to make sure that was clear. And Robbie, I know you have a lot of new people coming on board, and just make sure that they get that message so they understand how why.
She's working with Whitney.
Yeah.
So I'm sure she's questioning, but I'll verify that.
The only other thing that I had, and just move on to each council member, is I want to make sure that is closing as quick as we can close it. I don't want to see that person working for someone else and then splitting time and charging us full. So I would like to make sure that she stays on task for us, no matter where else she's working, stay on task for us and get hours completed so that we can move on to 2025 and we can start borrowing money, because we can't do anything until 2023 and 4 is finished. So
We have I think it's June 30th for the 24 audit, if I'm not mistaken,
yeah,
to be completed.
Yes.
yeah,
We're not behind on 24.
right,
Yeah.
yeah.
Way behind on 23.
Ms. Ron, you want to go ahead, any comment you want to make or anything you want to talk about? None? Okay. I can't believe it.
I'm ready to schedule the neighborhood visits.
We talked about that, getting back to our community engagement and what that looks like. And I'll send a video out of what that looks like so that everybody can get on board with that. We can have, you know, both chiefs there and, you know, everybody that needs to be involved. And obviously, you know, now EOM and that group.
Can I add to that, that I think that this keeps getting knocked back because we never schedule them. I think if we will go through, and it doesn't matter who does it, systematically goes through, and I think Kevin made a good suggestion, we need to kind of volley back and forth across the city, so we're not stuck in one neighborhood. But figure out what those neighborhoods are gonna be and go ahead and get them on the schedule, get them on the calendar. And then, I think we need a council calendar, Google Calendar, that we can all stay in.
Yes.
It'd be really nice.
We have that for our code enforcement. And I think that with our code enforcement right now, you know, the biggest thing is not letting picket fences down, because we done our first walkthrough and picket fences, and we made a lot of notes. There's like 2 or 3 pages, I think, that Terry made, and there was a lot of questions, and there was a lot of things that we found there that I think code enforcement, if we just go ahead and screw up that one walkthrough with them, I think that would, you know, give us credibility to move on to a new one and just
Yeah.
keep going. So,
That begs a question for Doug, we getting closer on that? Since you brought it up, let's go ahead and get that.
Yeah, and the plans are done. The county's ready to approve it. We're ready to approve. Y'all are ready to approve it. We're waiting on GSWCC for erosion control. All that's easy. Sly Environmental has done the wetlands. The wetlands have been submitted to the Corps of Engineers. They've had a couple of comments. They've sent some more stuff back. Normally on a nationwide permit for a pipe road crossing, you're looking at 45 days minimum with the Corps of Engineers, minimum. We're already into that 45 days. We're ready to bid this thing whenever y'all are. But kind of like, y'all weren't here when we started the Highway 21 sidewalks, DOT delayed our approval and delayed it, and we just couldn't get it. we don't want to bid something and have somebody sit there and wait a month or two before we get the easement, before we get
Well,
the
amount
core
change.
approval.
Yeah,
Amount of change.
materials
Correct.
change.
And
labor
on this
change.
one, we're talking about dirt, gravel, or, GAB and some pipe,
Yeah.
basically.
Like,
But we can bid it whenever you want to. We can start bidding it in the end of, or sometime in February, have a 30-day bid process. We got to run it in the paper for 2 weeks. And then have a little gap in there, and maybe if we open bids 1st of March, maybe we'll have core approval by then.
so I think if we do that, then we can go ahead and ground break at that time.
And there's almost a mile, if we can get the easement and get everything else approved, except for the nationwide permits for the pipes and the road crossing, just about the whole road is up to the curve to go to McCall. The only other thing you want to think about is if we are doing a lot of clearing and they're not burning and they're hauling stuff out, do we want them hauling it out through the subdivision, through Rankin, opposed to hauling it out McCall Road? We got to have that core approval for the nationwide permit for the road crossings to impact the wetlands to have access to go out McCall Road. We got about a mile of road on our side. If we could clear, grade, we just can't cross that wetland until we get the core approval. So we could do that, but if you got a lot of traffic coming in and out the
Then we're taking it to the
subdivision,
neighborhood.
you may be damaging the road.
Yeah.
You're coming up to the light or right across the street from City Hall. There's
Right,
no light.
yeah.
It may pose
I
a
think
problem
50,000
logistically,
Oh, yeah, I agree.
but
Until-
For everything to go out.
Once it becomes an optics-
As a
it
resident,
becomes
you
an
agree
optics
too.
problem. No, I mean, if it becomes an optics issue where it's not moving fast enough and we need to start, then it needs to come through the middle.
have dump trucks, log trucks backed up all the way to the railroad track and people can't get out. So it's just something to look at, but we're ready to bid. The contract documents, the bid documents are ready to roll. We're just waiting on the Corps to give us an approval.
Well, and if the train stops there, it's over about 15 minutes. Chief Reed's gonna put us a road through there when it happens, so.
But if they're gonna burn everything back there, and
Yeah.
I don't know, I mean, and they ain't hauling nothing out, you go back there, start doing some clearing, pile it up, and burn it, and it might do something. But we have to have the easement.
Think about burning it, all that's gonna go right to the neighborhood.
They can grind it. I wouldn't have.
Bid. I mean,
Or the Ford.
But that's logistically who they bid it, and when we get to that point, we are gonna have to have some parameters set in there that you can cut, you can haul, you can't go this way, you can go this way, you can burn, you can't burn certain hours, certain times, just like we do when we pave roads around a school, we say you can't mill, because we got school buses coming. So there's certain logistically things that we're gonna have to do when we bid it, but I just want you to know, y'all know, we can bid this thing anytime you want us to. We just may have to wait.
Or an easement.
We need an easement and we need a nationwide permit, 2 nationwide permits from the Corps of Engineers.
Mr. Blackman, do you have anything?
I got 2 items I think we discussed in our workshop. One of them was about, we've had a rodeo and a Christmas market. And the last spring fair we had, we got a report. How much we spent, how much proceeds we made, and what the profit was, and all of that. And since the rodeo, we have, as council and mayor, have not received one of those. So, Mr. Bird, I know you wasn't here.
I wasn't here, but I want to reiterate, we also haven't had a finance director in a year.
That's true. Now we do.
Yeah.
I just need, we would just like to see rough numbers. If we spent, say, 50,000 on the Christmas market and you made 75,000 on it, then that's fine.
50,000.
If you spent 50,000 and we only made 25, then you got
That's good.
those numbers.
A lot of money on Christmas this year around this city.
Well, but to keep in mind, this year, we did have some exposure.
That's just for Christmas.
I see what you're saying.
See my water bill. Y'all see it?
Yeah.
That's the way it came in the mail. It's kind of printed on some.
Now, is that the new, that's the new,
That's
okay, that starts next month.
So
It starts next month, but they're not responsible for the post office.
Yeah, I know. See, that's what I'm saying. A lot of people do have this kind of water bill, or it gets lost because it's a thin piece of cardboard that we print them on. And I know we awarded that contract to the company to do our billing for the utilities, and it seems like it's been dragging on.
They just got awarded,
Yeah.
so they start next month. Isn't that right, though?
I just want to make sure it's on track.
No. We actually outsourced the billing so somebody else could,
Yeah.
I can mail a bill.
That way we can add any notices that we need to get out to the citizens.
That's gonna get eliminated. Y'all council, address that. That's what-
I just want to make sure it's on track. That's all.
One of mine was the audit. I think we all aware of that. It'd be nice to get that because we know there's a lot of grants and things that are pushed out right now the first of the year, and we're sitting here on our hands until those audits are done. I think that it needs to be known and on the record that the holdup in the audit is getting our bookkeeping on track. There's been a lot of things. We've had a consultant in here, and our bookkeeping is going to be bar none the best it's ever been. But it's taken a long time to get it all straight. And that's held up the audits. It's not us, it's not our staff. It was previous bookkeeping practices. Those have been corrected and being corrected. My understanding is, Robbie, is 2025 is running like a dream, that she started 2025. And, everything's correct. It'll going forward. We've just got to, they're working to finish 23 and 24 and get the audits. And my understanding is April 2025, the audits will be done. And I hope we don't lose a lot of grants in this, but I'm with Kevin.
Yes.
The sooner the better, and if we can push that any, please push it. And I just, I think that's it.
So, I was fortunate to attend our meetings up in Atlanta. For me being a newly appointed, council member, it was priceless. I learned a lot, and, I look forward to discussing in greater detail in our meeting that we had up there on a lot of the bullet points that we talked about on Sunday. But it was outstanding. A lot of great information, a lot of good networking with other city mayors, managers, councilmen, clerks. And I thank the city for allowing me to go to the meetings up there. It was well worth it.
I'd just like to thank, especially Fire Chief Reed for the support that he gave the Martin Luther King Day celebration. It turned out good. They represented us well. Also, it turned out we had good representation from the state. How people Barnes and some of the other guys came down. We had a great time. It turned out good. Also, the urban workers, the new tax commission. And I think that's something we need to look at. I think the first one's gonna go to quota.
Yes.
For the kiosk. And so that will allow you to purchase the tag, pay your bill for the county. Also, we can add on to that if we want them to collect the water. So it's quite a few things that we can look at that's gonna be on that kiosk, that's gonna be.
Would there be a fee involved? Sure.
And please, for the public, keep in mind that the Citizens app allows you that capability to do this. So I encourage the citizens of Rankin to pass that on to somebody else because it is very convenient, it's easy, and it's easy to avoid post office dealings like Mr. Blackmore just should have.
Citizens.
Respond from the postal, yeah, just got it. All my information, social security number, and everything, it went to the resident. They opened it, they wrote it, a note on it, we took it back to the post office, they didn't try to find out where it went. It's a government seal, we're working on it now, but post service and post system to get in.
All right, do we have a need for executive session?
Yes, sir.
Okay. We'll entertain a motion to move into executive session.
Second.
Who was the first?
I think that first, the black one second.
Taylor. I got a motion from Ms. Taylor, I got a second by Mr. Blackwell, all in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion passed.
Terry.
Brandon.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
So do you-